Hey tribe, I wanted to share this concept while it's fresh in my mind because my friend William took me on a hike yesterday here in Austin. The first time I've been up on this like cliff, and it's just like this panoramic view of I guess Lady Bird Lake, which I believe is the Colorado River. And there's this bridge over it, and so it was interesting. We were deep in discussion about all things philosophical as usual. And then we came across a striped kind of, small snake, but he saw it first and was like, oh. Um, and I didn't think much of it. But then as we were leaving and the entrance out of the forest into the parking area was a big rattlesnake, and it was scary. And I saw it first, but he freaked out more than I did. But we were kind of like, ooh, what does that mean? Like that's usually showing up for a reason, and then kind of a symbolism. And it was almost like danger, beware, be cautious, kind of a message. And so I was feeling into that. And today I got some messages around it. So, all totem animals have a symbolism to them usually. And what came through was, because we were both kind of taken aback, and it was a little bit hard for me to feel like, oh, wow, we have such a potent chemistry with each other that it's a little bit, it could be volatile. I can see it could be like so amazing and amazing chemistry and almost like addictive, and then on the other side, it could just be, it could turn into being volatile and nasty. I could see, I'm not a nasty person, but I don't know him that well. We're only a few days in, and I think that there's that side there, right? That everybody has, maybe their least attractive side to them, where they can be an asshole perhaps or whatever. So I was like, ooh, is this a sign for me to be like, just be careful, because you don't know what you're dealing with here. And feeling kind of sad about that. And, it was, yeah, we kind of, acknowledged it, that it was showing up. And, the main message I think we got from it is to just be careful and to pace yourself and make sure, this captures it beautifully. Make sure you're being true to yourself every step of the way in relation to being in relationship with this new person. Because what he did towards the end there share something very transparent, which is not what I wanted to hear, and yet it was very necessary, which is, it was, a message around, we need to slow down. And I was so impressed that he as a man was, privy to this, because, he wasn't expecting to meet me. Like I'm definitely ready and ripe for love. But he was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't really prepared for this. Am I prepared for this? Do I want this? And I have kids that I'm raising. This is his side of things. And so, and it's kind of scary when you meet somebody that's a real match and all that too. So, he was sharing, he was saying, I think we need to just be really careful and not overdo it. And and then this is what's the hilarious side of it. And yet, when you apply that to sexuality, then they want to change their mind. Oh, got you. Yeah, let's make everything go slow, except for the sexuality piece. That is a female. I'm like, yeah, right. No, it goes both ways. It goes slow in every department. You don't just get to get what you want and then go slow in all the other areas. So it's funny. Anyway, human nature. But back to the point I was making about just being careful, because sometimes things are potent, and we have hearts at stake here, and there are kids involved. And And, we, like most of us, I think now have gone through like a twin flame experience already where it was very volatile and it was very traumatic, and there was betrayal or a third party involved, lying, whatever, all the traditional traumas that happen in relationship. And we all have our level of trauma. We've been through a lot, and we've woken up a lot because of it, hopefully. And, but I don't know about you. I can speak for myself. I feel like I'm coming out of a war zone and I'm bleeding, and I'm just like, I need support. I've been through so much, and yes, it's made me who I am, and I need to be really careful to get enough rest and downtime and spiritual time and take care of my body time, so anyway, we're all aware of this self-care factor, I think, more so these days. And so he was talking about that and kind of backing up a bit, and I was like, wow, I know that you're right, and it also feels kind of deflating too, because we, have this beautiful, yummy love energy as well, and it's like, how do you hold both? And and then the snake showed up, and I have to admit that the big one that was striped, with the rattler or whatever, it felt like it was a dangerous one, and yet it was a beautiful sign from nature. Thank you, nature, Mother Nature, looking out for us. Just saying, hey, there's maybe more here than meets the eye, and you're going to need to tread carefully. Then when we got in the car, I said, the snake gets a bad rap because of the biblical reference about it. And I said, when I think of snakes these days, I think of Kundalini rising. And, that activation of the spine and the Kundalini energy that connects the whole body and the spine from top to bottom. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And I said, isn't it funny how everything is perspective, right? In our beliefs and stuff. So then that piece came in, and then today the piece that's coming in is also that snakes shed their skin, which is a symbolism of leaving and shedding and purging what doesn't serve us anymore, and bringing in the new and becoming a new being. It's part of the ascension process, and we're shedding our skin on a regular basis, just like the snake does. And there's something that happens with a snake when at some point in its shedding process it becomes blind. I think because probably the old shedding stuff is kind of coming off, but it's not completely off yet, and it's blind and it's in the way, and there's a little bit of a vulnerableness to that until it does fall off the body completely. And so that is so pertinent here too, because there's so much vulnerability that we are aware of in meeting each other and going through this new relationship energy, and our hearts are at stake, and we're both very aware of how this better go well and right, because otherwise it could be devastating, and wanting to acknowledge that and be as conscious and discerning and wise as we can. And I was so impressed that he had the balls to be honest about most guys. I told him most guys at this point in time, with us just being so excited about each other and happy and all that, would not have brought that up and would have been afraid to bring that up, including myself, even though I do bring it up whether I like it or not. There are many times that we all just don't bring something up because we don't want to rock the boat at that moment. We don't want to ruin the moment. We don't want to be like, oh, backpedal, and it does feel like things deflate, because we already, within days, he and I have gone through this experience of leaning in and then leaning out, and then leaning in and then leaning out, finding that balance. Is this safe? Or is this safe to go forward? Oh, we need to stop and pause, and just acclimate, maybe back up a little bit as it's getting too intense or whatever. And so that's a natural thing that happens in new relationships. So just expect it. And I'm really proud of he and I for navigating that so well, being conscious of it, tracking it all as we go. And he brought up, this is a bit much, and I don't know if I'm ready for it. I'm not as ready as you are, Shia. And I was like, yeah, I hear you. And then I was honest. I said, I'm in a little bit of a shock. So I just want you to know I'm experiencing a little bit of shock emotionally, because that's not what I expected to hear, or really wanted to hear. But I also know there's wisdom in it, and it's important to have this conversation now before we get way into it, and then you bring it up, So I was really impressed that he was standing up for himself like that, because it actually is protecting both of us, because I have a tendency to jump full in when I see something that's close to what I'm looking for, for 52 years. And I'm so ready and ripe, and I just can't wait to get on with it, and get on with our lives and build together and all that. And he's like, whoa, girl. And it takes weeks and months in day-to-day living to really assess that or not, because we may just end up being friends, or being a different relationship category than the full Monty. So we just don't know. And so anyway, I just thought it was fascinating that came through today, this information around snakes and what they represent, and how this is a vulnerable time for both of us, almost like we are blind somewhat. It's like, oh my God, I met an equal match. Now this is like, now what do I do? I've been waiting for this for my whole life, and yet I need to pace myself and not go too fast, and be wise about my choices so I can stay grounded and work and do what I need to do in life still, and and he's got kids that he has half time or whatever, and so anyway, I just wanted to share that, because I thought that was really interesting and potent to have not one but two snakes show up, because I didn't think much of the one that was smaller, and yeah, we were in nature in the forest, so they're around. But then to have the second one, like within minutes later, that was a lot bigger and scarier, laying right where we needed to walk to get out of the forest. That he was in the way, kind of thing. And William had such a big reaction to it, and of course I'm not a reactionary person in general, so I was just like, ooh, interesting. And so it feels kind of good to be able to unpack that a bit, because it symbolizes many things. And I brought up many times so far, I mean, this is a days old relationship, and this is how far we've gotten. We have talked and covered so much ground about our pasts, about our parents, and even healing stuff as we go, and our exes, and all that. So and I would bring up, over and over again, we really need to pace this, because it will backfire if we go too fast and it gets too intense. And and that's not fun. So it's better to go slow. And then, of course, men don't want to go slow in the sexual department. And he's really good about, saying this can be whatever it needs to be. And, he'll tease me too, because he's got this amazing prowess about him that can turn me on a dime. And it's... It leaves me unconscious. It leaves me helpless. It like, I think there's so much serotonin or whatever that gets released that I'm just sort of like brain dead, and we're not even sexual yet. So, you can only imagine what it's going to be like if that enters the picture. So we're aware of this potency. And of course, he's raring to go. He's got way more testosterone than I do. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not going to be able to handle this. I need to have my ducks in a row financially. And I can't just be jerking my heart around, So baby steps. So I encourage you, if you're going to start being sexual with someone, take baby steps. What does that look like to you? What's your version of that? And then if you're not willing to take baby steps and you're just wanting what you want, you probably don't belong with that person. And then you have karma for pressuring them or guiding them into a sexual experience that they're really not ready for, maybe, and that you really don't care that much about them. You're just wanting what you want from it. And there's karma involved with that. So whatever you dish out, you're going to have to take. Whether it's in this lifetime or later on, you will have people that will come and treat you the same way. So that's what keeps us accountable. Yeah, what do you think? What does that going baby steps mean like to you? What's your version of that? I'm really curious.